students, myself Swati Thakre, your science teacher. Students, which type of fiber or which type of clothes you would like to wear? Yes, all the students have different views, different choices regarding wearing of clothes. So, some students like silk cloths, some students like cotton cloth, and some students like mixed cloth. So, students, how these cloths are formed? We have to see how these cloths are formed scientifically or how these are manufactured. So this we have seen in the lesson number 3, fiber to fabric. Okay. So here in today's session we are going to just revise this lesson number 3, fiber to fabric. Okay students, let's start. So the first topic is fiber. So what do you mean by the fiber? Okay students, so what is fiber? Fiber, it is the finer part of the thread which is referred as fiber. Okay, all of you know that the thread, all of you know that. Okay, so the fine part of that thread is known as fiber. Fiber is a thread-like structure that is spun into ropes, cloths and strings. Okay, so from just single fiber, whenever that single thread, double thread, triple thread, more threads come together, they refer to as fiber and they spun into the ropes, cloths and strings. Fibers are made from fibers obtained from natural or the artificial sources. Okay students, fabrics are made from fibers. Fabrics means the clothes which you wear. Okay students, so these fabrics are made from the fibers. Okay, fiber and fabric. See the basic difference between these two. Fiber means it is the fine part of the thread and fabric means the clothes which are made from that fibers. Okay, so the fabrics are made from fibers and the fibers which we get, they are obtained either naturally or the artificially. Okay, so these are the natural or the artificial sources. So what are the fabrics? For example, rayon, nylon, polyester. So these type of the cloths which are made from the rayon, the cloths which are made from the nylon, these are the fibers. Okay, nylon is a fiber, rayon is a fiber. We wear the sweaters, these are also made from the fibers. So these are the examples of fiber: rayon, nylon, polyester, etc. So fiber to yarn to fabric. So how these from single fiber or single thread we form the whole cloth. Okay students, so how, see over here, fabric consists of thin strands called yarn. Okay, what do you mean by the yarn? The fabric consists of thin strands called yarn, which in turn consist of thinner strands called fibers. See students, there are many more fine threads. These threads are known as fiber, and whenever these threads are come together, they form first yarn, and after that, from that yarn we make the fabrics. Okay, so see over here, fiber, it is the smallest element in the textile. Then from fiber, yarn or the filament is made, which will get twisted strand of fibers, which will get twisted, and from that we get the fabric, which is cloth made by the various method. Okay students, so by various methods we get fabric from the fiber. Okay, now what are the animal fibers? Okay, here we have seen that natural fibers are there animal fibers are there. We get naturally fibers as well as artificially. But so the fibers which are get from the animals are the animal fiber. Okay, as the name suggests, animal fibers are derived from different animals. Okay, so there are mainly two types, wool and silk. What are the animal fibers? Animal fibers are the fiber which we get from the animals, and there are mainly two types of the animal fibers, wool and silk. Okay, so the wool is also obtained from the animals. So what kind of animals are there from which we get the wool? For example, sheep, goat, camel, yak. From these animals we get the wool, and we get silk from the silkworm. Okay, silk is another animal fiber which is obtained from the silkworm. Okay students, so animal fibers, there are two types of animal fibers, wool and silk. All of you know that we get the wool from the animals. Okay, there are certain wool yielding animals which bear wool as their hair, as a hair on their body. Okay, they possess the hair on their body which are nothing but the wool which is used for making the fabric. Okay students, so animal fibers are derived from different animals. Next, wool. We get wool as well as silk from the animal fibers. So what is this wool? See over here. Fiber from the animal's wool, the natural animal fiber obtained from sheep, goat, yak, camel, it is the wool. Okay, wool, from what we get wool? We get wool from the animals. What? From the sheep, goat, yak, camel, etc. So all these animals have an outer covering of hair which is shaved off to obtain the wool fibers. Okay students, so the sheep contains the hair covering, outer covering of hair which is shaved off, and from that hairs we get the wool fibers. Okay, have you seen these wool? See students over here, these are the pictures of wool. So these we get from the hair of the animals. Okay, so wool is a soft thick hair which grows on the bodies of the sheep and some other animals. Okay, so in this case the air get traps in the air spaces between that hair and keeps animals warm in cold weather also. Okay, in cold weather what is happen, the air get traps in the air spaces between these hair and keep animals warm in the cold weather. So the main source of wool is sheep. Okay students, although we get the wool from different types of animals like goat, camels, yak, okay, but the main source of wool is sheep. Okay, so here one term comes, that is the fleece. See over here, fleece. So what is this fleece? See, the thick covering of wool on a sheep. Okay, the thick covering of wool on a sheep is known as fleece. So there are two types of fleece. Fleece means these are the hair, thickening of hair. Okay, so thick covering of wool on the sheep is fleece, and it is of two types. One is soft under hair part. Soft under hair part which is close to the skin. Okay, one type of fleece, it is soft which is under the hair part and which is close to the skin, while the another is hard hairs which are upper hair part. Okay, so there are two types, soft and hard hairs. Soft hairs are under the hair parts while hard hairs are upper the hair part. So Usually, the under hair part is used to prepare the soft wool. If you want to prepare the soft wool, which type of fleece we use over here? We use the soft type of wool. Okay, under hair part is used for preparing the soft wool. So wool is generally creamy white in color, although some breeds of sheep produce natural colors such as black, brown, silver and random mixes. Okay, it is naturally or generally creamy white in color, but there are also certain species which are of different colors like black, brown, silver, and sometimes these are the mixes of colors. Okay, so this is all about the wool. So the finest and the most valuable wool. We get the wool, but the quality of wool is also most important while preparing or while manufacturing the fabrics. So see this picture, this is the merino sheep. Have you seen, students? This is the merino sheep. So there are different quality. They are of different quality and prices. Okay. So there are different types of wool available in the market. In that the wool which we get, they are of different quality also and prices also. The quality of wool is determined by certain factors. So from what factors we can say that the the wool is of better quality? See, students, if the fibers diameter, color and strength is okay, then we can say that the quality of wool is better. So the fiber diameter is most important wool characteristics which determines the quality as well as price. Okay, so from the fiber diameter we can determine quality and price. So the finest and the most valuable wool comes from merino sheep. Okay, see, students, this is the merino sheep. From this sheep we get the finest and the most valuable wool. This merino, it is a breed of sheep from the Spain. They are available or they occur in the Spain. Okay, it is the breed of sheep known as merino sheep. So the finest and the most valuable wool comes from the merino sheep. Here are the certain Indian breeds of sheep. These are the certain breeds of sheep and what are their qualities and where they occur. Okay, the first one is the Lohi sheep. It is the breed of sheep, that is Lohi. It gives good quality of wool and it occurs in the Rajasthan and Punjab state. The next one is the Rampur Busher. It is also the name of the breed of sheep. The quality it possesses, it is the brown fleece. Okay, the quality it possesses, it is the brown fleece, and the state where it is occur, it is Uttar Pradesh and Himachal Pradesh. Just like Rampur Busher, there are another breed, that is Nali, which is the carpet wool. We get the carpet wool from the Nali type of or the Nali breed of sheep, and they are occur in the Rajasthan, Haryana and Punjab. The Bhakarwal, this is the breed of sheep. The quality of wool we get, it is the for woolen shawls. For making shawls, we require this kind of breed, that is the Bhakarwal. Okay, they are generally present in the Jammu and Kashmir. The next one is the Marwari. From Marwari breed of sheep, we get the coarse wool. They are present in the Gujarat as well as the Pathanwadi. It is also used for the hosiery and they are also present in the state of Gujarat. Okay, students, so these are the some Indian breeds of sheep which provides the wool. The next one is animals that yield wool. See, students, wool commonly available in the market is the sheep wool. Okay, the wool which we see in the market, it is come from the sheep wool. but several breeds of the sheep are found in different parts of the country. However, the fleece of the sheep is not only the source of the wool. Okay, the fleece of the sheep means the hair present on the upper surface of the sheep. These are not only the source of the wool, there are also other sources of wool also. So what are these? Yak wool. Yak wool is common in the Tibet and Ladakh, while the Angora wool, it is the Angora it is the goat, okay, Angora goat, which is present in the hilly regions such as Jammu and Kashmir. So it is present in Jammu and Kashmir, but the wool which is obtained from this Angora goat, it is the Angora wool. The underfur of Kashmiri goat is soft and it is woven into the fine shawls called pashmina shawls. Okay, there are certain shawls which are made from the these goat which are from the Kashmirs. Okay, the fur or the hair on the body of camel is also used as a wool. Okay, fine students. The sheep also contains the hairs, but just like sheep, there are also certain other animals which also possesses hairs, and that hairs are mainly used for making the fabrics. The llama and alpaca, these are also found in the South America. They are also yield wool. So first we have seen over here yak wool is common in Tibet and Ladakh. So what is yak wool, students? So yak is a type of cattle with long hair and long horn. So they are found mainly in the Tibet and Ladakh. Okay. So yak wool is popular in that region, Tibet and Ladakh. Now what is Angora wool? See students, most of the time the short notes are asked on the Angora wool. So what is Angora wool? This is obtained from the Angora goat or rabbits found in the hilly regions of Jammu and Kashmir. Angora goat, from the Angora goat we get the Angora wool, and these Angora goats are found in the hilly regions of Jammu and Kashmir. So Angora wool is extremely soft, warm and fluffy. So the fiber from the Angora goat which we get, it is the mohair. Yes students, mohair, it is the fiber which is we get from the Angora goat. So what is this mohair? Mohair, it is the fiber which is famous for its lightweight, warmth and durability. So this wool is especially used for preparing the sweaters and soft coverings of furnitures. Okay students, so Angora wool, we get the Angora wool from the Angora goat. Where this Angora goat found? They are found in the Jammu and Kashmir. Also they possess extremely soft, warm and fluffy type of wool. So the fiber which we get from the Angora wool, it is the mohair. So this mohair, it is famous for its lightweight, durability and warm. So where the wool of Angora is used, the Angora wool is used especially into preparing the sweaters and the soft coverings of furnitures. The next one is the cashmere wool and the camel wool. See students, this picture. These are the cashmere goats. Okay, they are present in the Kashmirs. So the cashmere wool, it is obtained from the bellies of the cashmere goat. Okay, the cashmere goat possesses the thick hair around its bellies. So which is found in the Tibet and China. It's called as cashmere wool. It is not present in the Kashmir. They are found in the Tibet and China. So the wool obtained from the bellies of the cashmere goat is found in Tibet, okay, and China. That's why we called it as cashmere wool. This wool is one of the most expensive, extremely soft and easy to dye. Okay, so the wool which we get from the cashmere goat, it is really very costly or the expensive, but it is extremely soft and easy to dye. The next one is the camel wool. We also get the wool from the camel. So the fur on the body of the camel is used as a wool, and this wool is sometimes left in its original color because of its natural beauty. So there are certain hairs which are just like shining. So they are just like they are just present like that, means they left in its original colors because of their natural beauty. The next one is the llama and alpaca. See students, these are the animals of camel family. These are the animals of camel family, and these animals are found in the South Africa. So these animals are used also for getting the wool, which is really very soft and warm. Now up to this we have seen that what is the wool, what is animal fiber, okay, and what are the different kinds of animals, from that we get the wool. Now we have to see over here the exact procedure of wool, how we get the wool from that sheep. Okay students, how we get the wool from that sheeps. So see over here, this is the procedure for getting the wool. The procedure is known as extraction of wool. See, extraction of wool. The process of turning wool into fabric. Okay, the wool which we get from the animals that gets converted into the fabric had several steps that have been refined with time. So, the wool production includes the following steps. The first step for the wool production is the shearing. So, what do you mean by the shearing? The process of removing wool from the body of the sheep is called shearing. Okay, the process of removing wool. So, the removing wool process is known as shearing. So, the shearing of sheep is done annually. Okay, in a year once time it is done, shearing is done. So very sharp blades are run close to the sheep's skin for removing the coat of the wool. Okay, so the hairs which are present on the skin of the wool, skin of the sheep, these hairs are cut down. These hairs are cut down with the help of sharp blades towards the skin of that sheep, and in this way we can remove the coat of that wool. Okay, sometimes these sheep are washed before shearing. Okay, before shearing what is done, sometimes these sheep are washed to pull out some other natural lanolin and to remove the large pieces of debris. Certain large pieces of debris are present in that hairs. So if you want to remove that debris, first we have to wash that sheep, and afterwards we have to cut the hair of that sheep. Okay, the shearer tries as far as possible to remove the fur in one piece without harming the animal. Okay, so from shearing animals cannot get harm. It is just like the shaving procedure, students. Okay, so just like shaving, so the hairs which are present, see over here, in this case the hair which are in this picture, see students, the hair which are present on the sheep, they are just removed towards the skin with the help of sharp blades. Okay, this is about the shearing. So after shearing, after removal of hair, what is the next procedure? Next procedure is the scoring. So what is this? This process involves washing the sheared wool thoroughly with soap water. What is scoring? Scoring means washing of that hairs. The hairs which are removed from the sheep, that hair get washed with the soap water. Why they are washed? To remove all the unwanted and greasy material. See students, in the first step what we have done over here, we just cut the hairs of sheep. After cutting that hairs, what is the second procedure? Second, it is the scoring. That means in this process we just wash these hairs with the soap water so that the greasy material get removed, and then this wool is then dried and passed through the rollers. These wash hairs or the wash wool get dried, and afterwards it is passed through the rollers. Okay, After scoring, the next process is sorting. See students, name sorting itself indicate here the sorting out of wool is done. How? See students, now the wool is divided into the sections and graded based on their quality. So this wool which we get from the animals, it also sorted or it is divided into the sections like it is this grade, it is this grade, or it is of this quality. On the basis of their grade and quality they get subdivided. Okay, and the wool of the same quality is processed together to obtain different types of textiles. So if we get the wool of same quality, then that wool get again further processed together, and from that we get the different types of textiles. After sorting, the next process is combing. See, combing means the sorting process is followed by combing, in which the wool is combed to pull the fiber into alignment and to remove the chunk of the material which may be caught in it. Okay, so in this combing procedure, what will happen? The wool which we get from that sheep, that wool is combines. The thread of that wool get combines to make the fibers into the alignment, and also the chunk which are present, the chunk material which are present, that should also remove in the combing process. So after that combination of wool, after that fusion of wool, comb, okay students, comb, combining, it is name itself indicate that here the combining of wool is done. So that comb wool is then run through very fine wire brushes to line the fibers up. So it is then run through the very fine wire brushes, so that we get the line, we get the very fine shape, very fine fibers. Okay, so these fibers are then pull out short segments and give the fibers their final shape and direction. So in the combing process, what will happen basically students, the wool is combed. Okay, first wool is combed, then it will after combing it will remove the chunk material which is present on it. After that, that comb wool is then again run through very fine wire brushes to line the fibers up and pull out the short segments. Means there are certain short segments or the short hairs, they get pulled out and we get the fibers of their final shape, means even length of the fibers we get, and final shape and direction. This is all done in the process of combing. Okay, the next one is the making of yarn. Making of yarn. So how this yarn is made? These fibers are then spun into the threads. These fibers are then spun into the threads or the yarn for weaving, crocheting and knitting. For weaving, crocheting and knitting, these fibers are spun into the threads, and the width of this finished thread depends on how it is handled during the spinning. Okay, during the spinning, how we can handle, from that we can we get the width of the finished thread. Okay, so the quality of the wool depends on the breed of the sheep. The quality which we get, the quality of wool which we get, it's totally depend on the breed of the sheep, and it is decided on the basis of thickness, length, strength, color and shine of the wool. So quality, on what basis we say that it is of best quality or not? So on the basis of thickness, length, color, strength and the shine of wool, we can determine the quality of the wool. Okay students, see over here, this is the procedure. First, this man can shear this fleece from this sheep. Afterwards, this fleece is baled for transport to the transport, and then afterwards what will happen, it gets scoring. Okay, means it is washed in the soap water, and after washing it will dry over here. See students, it will dry and it will make the sheet, that means it is twisted. So in this way the yarn is made. Okay. So this is the all process of wool extraction. Now just like wool, we also get the silk from the animals. Okay, we also get silk from the animals. So silk fiber is also an animal fiber. So silk is one of the highly prized fiber. Silk is really very costly because of its shining luster. Okay, it possesses shining. Due to that shining, silk is really very expensive. It is good fabric for both winters and summers due to its heat resistant nature. The main property of silk is they possess heat resistant nature in both the seasons, that is winter and summer. Okay, so we get this silk from the silkworms. So what are these silkworms? See students over here, the life cycle of the silkworm begins when a female silk moth lays egg. Okay, how this life cycle of silkworm begins? See students, there is a female silk moth. Okay, there is a female silk moth which gives eggs. Okay, which lays eggs, and from that the life cycle of silkworm begins. From that the life cycle of silkworm begins. What happens students? First, whenever that female silk lays egg, okay, after laying that eggs, after about 20 days, the larvae or the caterpillars start hatching from these eggs. Okay, the larvae or the caterpillar start hatching from these eggs after 20 days. Okay, the first procedure is, first this female silk moth lays egg. After 20 days, the caterpillar or the larvae get hatched from these egg. Then they are known as silkworms or caterpillars. Okay, whenever these caterpillars are hatching from the eggs, they are known as silkworms or the caterpillars. So these silkworms feed on fresh mulberry leaves and grow in size. So these silkworms eat. What they eat? The leaves of the mulberry tree. Okay, they eat the fresh mulberry leaves, and by eating these leaves they grow in their sides, and after growing in sides they secrete fine filaments from the glands on their heads. Okay, so these silkworms have the glands which are present in their on their heads. So that glands secrete certain fine filament, and these filaments are made up of protein which hardens to form the silk fiber whenever exposed to air. Here students, again I repeat this life cycle. First, what will happen? The female silk moth first lays egg. Okay, after laying that egg, after the 20 days, so after about 20 days, the silkworm or the caterpillar or the larvae get hatched out from this egg. So they are known as the silkworm or the caterpillar. So after hatching that egg, these caterpillar or silkworm grows on the mulberry leaves, where they feed these mulberry leaves, fresh mulberry leaves. Okay, they eat that mulberry leaves and grow in size. Afterwards, these silkworm possesses certain glands on their head. So that glands secrete certain fine filaments. These filaments, which are secreted by the gland present on the hair of the silkworm, that filament are made up of proteins. Okay, then these protein gets hard whenever exposed to the air. Whenever that fine filament exposed to the air, at that time it will get hard. Okay, and we get the silk fibers, and we get the silk fibers. See students, this is the life cycle. See, this is first moth, which is the female, which lays the eggs. After laying that eggs get hatch out after 20 days. After 20 days hatch out, and that caterpillars get eat, that caterpillars come out of that eggs, and that caterpillars feed on these mulberry leaves. Okay, and they grow in size. After growing size, what will happen? They just secrete one filament which is made up of protein, and that filament get hard after exposed to the air. Okay, now these silkworm deposits filament in number of concentric layer around its body. What they do? These filaments get covered by the body. Means this silkworm deposit filaments in number of concentric layers around its body. Okay, though the figure of 8 just like figure of 8 like movement of head. By the movement of head, what will happen? The filament which is secreted by them, they get cover up the body. Okay, concentric layers are present around their body, and this result in the formation of structure of cocoon. See, after concentric layers around its body, these caterpillars forms a cocoon. Okay, they forms a structure which is known as cocoon in about 3 to 7 days. Now inside the cocoon, this silkworm enters the second stage of its life. Inside this cocoon, the second stage occurs. Okay, so the silkworm enters the second stage of its life called the pupa, and then develops into moth. This pupa, and then from pupa again it will forms a adult moth, and again that moth lays egg, and this cycle completes. So in nature, this life cycle occurs once a year. This life cycle occurs only one time in the whole year, but under experimental setup it can occur up to 3 times. Up to 3 times in the year. Okay, I hope you all get the life cycle of the silkworm. What is the life cycle of silkworm? In short, here I would like to tell you, the moth eggs means the moth, silk moth, that is the female that lays egg. After 20 days, the caterpillar or the larvae comes from that eggs, which are known as silkworm. Then this silkworm fed on the or eat the fresh mulberry leaves and grow in size. Afterwards, these caterpillars, whenever grow in size, they secrete one filament from the gland which are present on the hair. Okay, and that filament, whenever exposed to air, it becomes hard. So that silkworm, what does this silkworm do? This silkworm do the motion of head in such a way that filament which is secreted by their gland get cover up the body. Okay, it is surrounded, that filament is surrounded by the body of that caterpillar, and afterwards the cocoons are formed. Then cocoons are undergo the second stage of its life. That cocoon, inside this cocoon, this silkworm enters into the second phase of their life and develops into the moth, and again that adult moth its leg. So in this way, this life cycle of silkworm completes. Okay, now after the life cycle, here we have to see how the silk is produced by these silkworms. Okay, how the silk is produced. See students, the production of silk. The raising of silkworm in order to obtain silk for commercial purpose is called sericulture. Seri means silk, culture means to obtain or to cultivate. So, the raising of silkworms in order to obtain silk for commercial purpose, it's called sericulture. Means here we have to rear this silk for obtaining the rear these silkworms for obtaining the silk. That process is known as sericulture. So the production of silk is a slow and the gradual process. Okay students, so this production of silk is obviously it is really slow because as the life cycle occurs once in a year, so it is really very slow and a gradual process. So there are many species of silkworms that can produce silk, but among them there are also different types of species which can produce the silk, but among that species the Bombyx mori is the most commonly used species which is used for making the silkworms. Okay, so the silk is continuous filament fiber consisting of protein. The fiber which is secreted by the gland, that is the proteinaceous fiber, is known as fibroin, and a gum called sericin. Okay, so this fibroin prepares the silk filament and sericin cements the two filament together. Fibroin means it is the protein filament, and whenever these two protein filaments are joined with the help of cement, that is known as sericin. Sericin, it is the joining cement, it acts as a cement, and fibroin, it is the fine silk filament. So the sericin is removed by placing the cocoons in hot water. Whenever these cocoons are placed into the hot water, what will happen in hot water? That cement get melts, or that cement get removed from that, and in this process frees these silk filaments and prepares them for reeling. Okay, so we get these silk filaments separately after putting that cocoons into the hot water. Okay, so that cement gets removed from this. So there are certain stages which are involved in the silk production. So what are these steps? See students, first the silk moth. Silk moth, that means the female silkworm. So that female silk moth, that is known as Bombyx mori, it lays egg on the mulberry tree. Okay, now after laying that eggs, the eggs hatched into the caterpillars, and they feed chopped mulberry leaves, means they eat the mulberry leaves after hatching these eggs for 20 to 25 days. Now when the silkworms are about 25 days old, whenever silkworm becomes a little bit big, means it is 25 days old, then they become 10,000 times heavier than the first stage. So they are now ready to spin a silk cocoon. Now the silk is produced from the silkworm's head and then forced out in liquid to form through the openings called spinnerets. The spinnerets are the opening through which these filaments comes out, okay, through the head of silkworms. So the silk solidifies when it comes in contact with air, as I have already told you that whenever that filaments which are secreted by the glands through the hair of the a silkworm, that filaments get hard whenever exposed to the air, and that silkworm completes its cocoon, which is about 4 cm long, and in about 5 days by producing 600 to 1200 meters of silk filament. First it is only the 4 cm, but after 5 days it will produce 600 to 1200 meters of silk filament. After that filament, the cocoons are formed. Then these cocoons are then put into the hot water to kill the worms as well as loosen the filaments. And some cocoons are preserved to get silkworms that can be used later for the beading. So there are not only the whole cocoons are used. All the cocoons are not used for making the fabric, silk, for making the silk beads. There are certain cocoons which are get preserved to get the silkworms which will be used later for the breeding. Now a single cocoon contains approximately 1000 yards of the silk filament. Okay, so in single one cocoon, how many of the filament, silk filament? 1000 yards of the silk filament. So the silk at this stage is known as raw silk. That is not the fine and most valuable silk, that is the raw silk. Then these filaments from several cocoons are reeled off together to prepare one continuous strong thread, and just one thread consists of 48 individual silk filaments. So whenever 48 silk filaments come together, they forms one single thread. So this process occurs after the cocoon formation, and finally these threads are dried and the raw silk is reeled and packaged according to their quality. Okay, so this is all about the production of silk. So after getting that silk, what are the properties of silk, students? See over here. Silk has many qualities that sets it apart from other fibers. We also use certain types of fibers, means cotton, synthetic fibers are there, polycot are there, mixed type of cotton are there. But we usually see that the silk has many qualities which are really sets it apart from these other types of fibers. So first main best property of silk is it is lustrous and it can be dyed to different colors. Different colors can be applied over that silk and it is lustrous. So as lustrous means it is shiny. As the silk can absorb moisture, we feel comfortable wearing silk dresses. It also absorbs the moisture just like the cotton. So we really feel comfortable while while wearing these silk dresses. So silk is not affected by any kind of water, although detergents and perspiration can break down its fiber. See students, there are certain detergents and the perspiration, they also break down the filaments of these, or the filaments, or the break down its fibers, but water cannot affect it. So the silk garments are light in weight and keep us warm also. Silk garments can be worn both in the summer and winter. We can wear the clothes in both the both the seasons, winter and summer. Silk threads are as strong as steel wires. See students, these are as strong as the steel wires of the same diameter because of its elastic nature. The silk also possesses elastic nature, so that silk can be combined and knitted with another fibers like wool to prepare the beautiful garments. If we want to mix up this silk with the wool, we can also mixed up because of its elastic nature. So there are certain properties of silk, means it is lustrous, it can be dyed with the various colors, it can absorb the moisture so that we can get comfortable feeling while wearing these silk cloths. Also it does not affect by the water. They can be wear in both the summer and winter season. The threads of this silk are really very strong as just like the steel wires. Okay, they also possess the elastic nature. So these all are the properties of silk. As we have certain uses of silk, just like that there are also certain disadvantage of silk which are really faced by the people who work in the wool industry. So what are the health hazards in the silk and wool industry? See over here students, In India, many people earn their livelihood from wool and silk industry. There are certain peoples who work in the industries of the silk and wool. So these workers employed in these industries get adversely affected by many health problems and diseases. The people or the workers who work in the industries of silk and the wool, they also face certain problems regarding their health and the diseases. So some of the serious health problems are discussed over here. See students, what are the health problems occur to the people who work in the silk and the wool industry. The first one, health hazard, is sorter's job in wool industry is risky. When sorter's job means the sorting procedure. Okay, so the person who do this sorting procedure, it is really very risky, as sometimes they get infected by bacterium called anthrax. So anthrax, bacillus anthrax, it is the name of bacterium. That bacterium, if infected to the person, it is really hazardous to the blood disease called as sorter disease. If this anthrax causes infection to the humans or that person, which causes the fatal blood disease known as the sorter's disease. The next one is that the workers dip the cocoons for long hours in boiling water to extract the silk strand. Here we have just seen that for extracting the silk filament, what we do, the workers dip this cocoon into the hot water or the boiling water. So because of this, their skin becomes raw and blistered. The skin of their hand becomes really raw and blistered. The silk industry workers inhale vapor arising from the cocoons in the boiling water. Okay, whenever these cocoons are placed in the boiling water, at that time certain vapors are arises in this silk industry that get inhaled by these workers which are work over there in the silk industry. So also during reeling, lot of fiber and other things are inhaled by them. So these result in the health problem like the asthma, bronchial allergies and related ailments. Means the bronchial asthma are there or the bronchial allergies are there, certain asthma like diseases are occur or these disorders are occur with the persons which are work in the silk industry. The handling of silkworm with the bare hand leads to various infection and illness. Suppose these person handle these dead silkworms with their bare hand, they also causes certain infections and illness. So the workers in the weaving industry are exposed to noise made by the spinning. During the spinning process, there occurs very much sound by that machines. Okay, so this also causes the hearing disorder to that persons. The working in poorly ventilated and damp rooms cause the various respiratory problems. So these rooms are really poorly ventilated, ventilations are very less are there, and these are the damp rooms, so which also causes the various respiratory problem as these workers do their work for many hours in that room. Okay students, so these are the hazards which are related to the silk and wool industry, health hazards which are related to the silk and wool industry to the workers which work over there. Okay, so in this way what we have seen in this chapter, what do you mean by the fiber, how the fabrics are made from the fiber, what are the properties of silk, how the life cycle of the silkworm occurs, and also what are the different types of species from which we get the wool. Okay students, I hope you all also get all these point in this revised session. Okay, if anybody have the queries regarding these topics, please feel free to ask me. You can send your queries by sending the mail to this mail ID. Okay students, thank you.